Hello everyone, very good morning. I am back with our daily current affairs session. So, as always, today also we have some very important news followed by some basic questions on daily current affairs. So, without any delay, let's just begin with today's first news. The first news today that we have is related to Odisha, that Odisha government is chasing an ambitious target of completing the implementation of the Forest Rights Act by granting all kind of rights mandated under the Historic Act by 2024. Now, in this headline, there are some important points which you need to remember. Number one is that it is about Odisha. Number two, that it is about implementation of Forest Rights Act. Number three, that it is targeting it by 2024. So these three are very important things in this particular paragraph. Okay, so now we will try to understand that what is this Forest Rights Act, and we will also have some very important relevant subtopics from this particular news article. Okay, so what is Forest Rights Act? We will try to understand. The symbiotic relationship between forests and forest dwelling communities found recognition in the National Forest Policy 1988. So symbiotic relationship, as we say, कि mutual relationship है जो एक दूसरे को बहुत सारी सुविधाएं जरूरतें प्रदान करती हैं, that we can say that kind of a relationship it has been, जो फॉरेस्ट का है और जो लोग फॉरेस्ट जो कम्युनिटी मेनली जो ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज हैं जो फॉरेस्ट एरिया में रहती हैं उनके लिए एक पॉलिसी बनाई गई थी 1988 में जिसका नाम था नेशनल फॉरेस्ट पॉलिसी. The policy called for the need to associate tribal people in the protection, regeneration and development of forest. So ये जो पॉलिसी थी इसमें एक जरूरत की बात की गई थी, वो जरूरत ये थी कि जो एसोसिएट जो ट्राइबल पीपल है उनको एसोसिएट किया जाए जो फॉरेस्ट है उनके प्रोटेक्शन में, डेवलपमेंट. बिकॉज जो ट्राइबल पीपल है दे प्ले अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन मेंटेनिंग द फॉरेस्ट, बिकॉज वो ऐसे रिमोट एरियाज में ही रहते हैं. The scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006 was enacted in this regard. And then जो Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Act है जो वो 2006 में इसी के रिगार्डिंग बनाया गया. It aimed to protect the marginalized socio-economic class of the citizens and balance the right to environment with their rights to life and livelihood. So ये बेसिकली एम करता है जो भी मार्जिनलाइज्ड क्लासेस है, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक क्लासेस, मेनली कोई ऐसी क्लास जो फॉरेस्ट एरिया में रहती है या ऐसी क्लासेस जो मेनली जो ट्राइब्स हैं वो सारी जो क्लासेस हैं, तो जो एनवायरमेंट है उनका जो राइट है उसमें. बिकॉज जो अगर देखें जो ट्राइबल पीपल होते हैं उनकी जो इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी होती है वो बड़ी ही सिंपल होती है और वो ऐसी होती है जो पूरी तरीके से एनवायरमेंट पे डिपेंडेंट होती है बहुत ज्यादा. ठीक है, तो उस चीज के लिए ये एम करता है दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट. नाउ व्हाट आर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ दिस 2006 एक्ट? वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. The Act recognizes that tribal and other traditional forest-dwelling communities would be hard put to provide documentary evidence for their claims. So, अब जो भी पुराने ट्राइबल पीपल हैं जो बहुत सालों से वहां फॉरेस्ट में ही रहते हैं, उनकी कम्युनिटीज बनी हुई है, उनके घर बने हुए हैं, उनकी सोसाइटी वहां पे है, ये उनके लिए बहुत ही टफ होगा कि वो कोई कोई डॉक्यूमेंट प्रोड्यूस कर सके सामने, या फिर कोई एविडेंस दे सके कि ये जो पर्टिकुलर एरिया है वो उनका रहने का है, या वो यहाँ पे अपनी कम्युनिटी बसा के बैठे हैं. So that documentary evidence for them to give is very difficult. Rule 13 of the Act therefore stipulates that the Gram Sabha would consider more than one evidence in determining forest right. So ये जो particular act है 2006 का, इसके rule 13 के according जो ग्राम सभा होगी वहां की, वो एक से ज्यादा एविडेंस पे फॉरेस्ट राइट डिटरमाइन करेगी. ठीक है, मतलब अगर किसी के पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं है और कोई और प्रूफ है तो दैट विल आल्सो वर्क. द रूल सैंक्शंस a wide range of evidences including statements by village elders, community rights, and physical attributes such as houses, huts, and permanent improvements made to lands such as leveling, bunds, and check dams. अब ये जो different जो evidences हैं apart from any documentary evidence, वो क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? कोई भी गांव के जो बूढ़े बड़े होंगे उनका अगर कोई स्टेटमेंट है, अगर कोई कम्युनिटी राइट्स है उससे रिलेटेड कोई चीज है, अगर वहां की जो फिजिकल स्ट्रक्चर है उस एरिया की वो ऐसी है कि वहां पे हाउस बने हुए हैं, हट्स बने हुए हैं, या परमानेंट स्ट्रक्चर कुछ डेवलप है, जैसे उन्होंने डैम्स बना दिए, बांध बना दिए, ऑल दीज थिंग्स इफ दे आर देयर देन दे विल आल्सो वर्क एज एविडेंस कि ये उनका एरिया है एंड दे हैव द राइट to protect this area and they can live there, they can have their community there. Now the question comes that why is it in news these days? So we have already seen related to that. Why in the news? So the forest rights claim of these tribes and forest dwellers are mostly rejected by the state. So मेनली क्या होता है कि जो स्टेट होती है वो रिजेक्ट कर देती है जो फॉरेस्ट राइट जो क्लेम करते हैं, जो ट्राइबल पीपल क्लेम करते हैं that they belong to this particular area और ये उनकी कम्युनिटी है, उनका एरिया है फॉरेस्ट एरिया. सो ये जो मोस्टली क्लेम्स होते हैं ये रिजेक्ट कर दिए जाते हैं स्टेट्स के द्वारा. So being poor and illiterate living in remote areas, they do not know the appropriate procedure for filing claims. एंड बिकॉज वो एक रिमोट एरिया में रहते हैं, आइसोलेटेड रहते हैं, पढ़े लिखे नहीं होते उतने, तो एंड कहीं ना कहीं उनकी जो सब्सटेंसिव इकोनॉमी होती है कि जितना चाहिए बस उतना ही हो पाता है, उससे ऊपर दे कैन नॉट हैव दोस लग्जूरियस लाइफ ऑल दोस थिंग्स, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं बहुत पुअर भी रहते हैं. तो ये सब चीजों की वजह से उनको सबसे ज्यादा तो illiteracy की वजह से they are not able to understand the appropriate procedure for filing these claims कि कैसे करना है, कैसे अपने rights के लिए लड़ना है, क्या legal procedures है, all those things they are not aware of. The Gram Sabhas which initiate the verification of these claims are low on awareness of how to deal with them. So even the Gram Sabhas जो बनाई गई है कि वो verify करेंगे इन क्लेम्स को, वो चेक करेंगे, वो प्रोसीजर को फॉलो करेंगे, तो उनको खुद ही इतनी अवेयरनेस नहीं है, उनकी जो अवेयरनेस है वही कम है, देन हाउ विल इट वर्क? ओके, सो दिस इज द थिंग. नाउ व्हाई आर फॉरेस्ट राइट्स important for tribals? Now we have seen that Odisha is trying to have this forest right act implementation by 2024. Now why is this required? Why is it important? That we are trying to understand. Aimed at undergoing the historic injustice meted out to forest development dependent communities due to curtailment of their customary rights over forests, the Forest Right Act came into force in 2008. So ये बना actually जो पहला act था, that was Forest, the Scheduled Tribe and Other Traditional Forest Dweller Act, which was in 2006. Do not confuse this. This was in 2006, and then in 2009 there come this law of Forest Rights Act, which came in 2008. So it is important as it recognizes the community's right to use, manage, and conserve forest resources and to legally hold forest land that these community have used for cultivating and residence. So ये जो हमारा एक्ट है ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है और ये एक्चुअली ऐसी कम्युनिटीज के राइट्स को रिकॉग्नाइज करता है कि वो यूज कर सकती है, मैनेज कर सकती है और कंजर्व कर सकती है फॉरेस्ट रिसोर्सेज and to legally hold forest land that these community have used for cultivation and residence. और वो legally hold कर सकते हैं उस forest land को जिनको वो cultivate कर रहे हैं सालों से and वहां पे जो रह रहे हैं. So it is their legal right to have that area. It is also underlines the integral role that forest dwellers play in the sustainability of forest and in the conservation of biodiversity. Now, it also talks about the important and the integral role that these people who are living in forests, they play a very an important role in maintaining sustainability of the forest. वो exploit नहीं करते हैं like other communities. The communities which we live in, we are exploiting these resources. Deforestation हम करते हैं, हमको फॉरेस्ट की जगह पे प्लांट्स बनाने होते हैं, बड़े बड़े फैक्ट्रीज बनानी होती है. बट विद दीज कम्युनिटीज, ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज, दे आर एक्चुअली कंजर्विंग the resources, conserving the biodiversity. Okay, so it also talks about that. It is of greater significance inside protected forests like national parks, sanctuaries, and tiger reserves, as traditional dwellers then become a part of management of the protected forest. Now, we have seen there are so many national parks, sanctuaries, reserve, tiger reserves, all these things. So there also, these people, these tribal people in such areas, they become a part of management. कि वो फिर ऐसे area में they are working, they are making the system sustainable and they are managing this because उनकी जो activities हैं, they are very good for the forest. Okay, so with this, we come to an end to this particular news. Okay, now we will try to understand the next news, which is related to a storm which happened to be in US. So derecho is a storm that turned the sky green in the US. So I hope you can see the image. We will try to understand that why is this color is green, all those things, what are the aspects, all those things we will try to understand. So the state of Nebraska, Minnesota, and Illinois in the US were hit by a storm system called a derecho, which turned the skies green. Okay, so let's just, I think the image is very interesting. You can have it. I mean, see it, and or if you want, you can keep these screenshots. So, derecho is a widespread, long-lived, straight line windstorm that is associated with a band of rapidly moving showers or thunderstorms. Okay, so ये जो है storm, this is basically a very widespread, जो कि ज्यादा एरिया में एकदम से फैल जाता है, लॉन्ग टाइम के लिए रहता है, ऐसा नहीं कुछ सेकेंड्स के लिए, कुछ मिनट के लिए रहेगा, लॉन्ग टाइम के लिए रहता है और बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड्स होती है इसके साथ एसोसिएटेड और थोड़ी सी इसमें थंडरस्टॉर्म और थोड़ी बारिश भी होती है. The name comes from Spanish word la derica, which means straight. Okay, so because widespread straight line में जो है वो windstorm आता है, and that is why this word derecho is being derived from a Spanish word, important है थोड़ा, la derica. Okay, जिसका मतलब होता है straight. Now straight line storm are those in which thunderstorm winds have no rotation, unlike a tornado. So इसमें क्या होगा कि जो थंडरस्टॉर्म विंड्स होंगी, जो हवा चलेगी, वो रोटेट नहीं करेगी, वो एक सिंपल स्ट्रेट लाइन में होगी. Okay, so there is no rotation, and that is why it is called as derecho, because that in Spanish it means the straight. Being a warm weather phenomenon, a derecho generally not always occurs during summertime, beginning May, with most hitting in June and July. So ये mainly क्या होता है, हमेशा नहीं, बट मेनली ये समर टाइम में हो सकता है, और ज्यादातर ये कब होता है, जून या जुलाई में, एंड दिस इज द टाइम एक्चुअली. However, they are a rare occurrence as compared to other storm system like tornado and or hurricane. So ये बहुत ही रेयर है, इतना ज्यादा नहीं होता, इट इज वेरी रेयर. एंड जो टोर्नेडो एंड हरिकेन्स होते हैं उससे रेयर है, कम होता है. Now, we will try to understand that why does the sky turn green during the derecho. So, several thunderstorms result in a green sky due to light interacting with the huge amount of water they hold. So, what actually happened कि जो ग्रीन स्काई का कलर है उसमें क्या होता है कि लाइट जो है वो इंटरेक्ट करती है विद वाटर, एंड उसकी वजह से ये change हो जाता है in the color. So the big raindrops and hail scattered away all but the blue wavelength, due to which primarily blue light penetrates below the storm cloud. So सारी जो light जो rain drops हैं वो actually जो blue wavelength वाली जो lights होती है, that actually penetrates below the storm cloud, and this blue then combines with the red yellow of the afternoon of the or the evening sun to produce green. Now what happens, ये जो blue जो color होता है light का, ये जो शाम का या जो दोपहर का टाइम होता है, we have seen that in the sky during that time जब orangish yellowish हमारा जो स्काई हो जाता है, उससे जब ये कंबाइन होती है तो फिर जो है ग्रीन लाइट प्रोड्यूस होती है. सो दैट इज व्हाई द derecho हैज ग्रीन कलर. Okay. Now, are there different types of derecho? Yes, there are actually three types: progressive, serial, and hybrid. So progressive is associated with a short line of thunderstorm that may travel for hundreds of miles along a relatively narrow path. It is summer phenomenon. So the progressive है, it is short line. Whereas the serial derecho, on the other hand, has a extensive squall line, wide and long, sweeping across the large area. So this occurs mainly in spring or fall. तो ये spring में होता है, और ये जो है वो extensive होता है, long होता है, wide होता है. Whereas hybridized are the ones that have features of both progressive and serial derecho. Okay. So next we have, where do derechos usually occur? This is important. So they mostly occur across central and eastern parts of the US. Okay. Derecho have also been documented elsewhere across the world. In 2010, Russia witnessed its first documented derecho. So in 2010, Russia. Okay, this is also important. They have also swept through Germany, Finland, and more recently in Bulgaria and Poland. So these are the places where they actually occur. Okay, so you can just have this idea कि कहाँ होते हैं, green क्यों होते हैं. This is important. I'll just show you the image once again, so you can have this image. Okay. Sure. So we have come to an end to this particular news. Now the other news is related to Pasmanda. So who are they? We will try to understand. This is in news these days. So in a political conclave in Hyderabad, PM made a special mention for the Pasmanda Muslim community and their social upliftment. So this is basically a Muslim community, and in a recent in recent times, PM has talked about their social upliftment. So who are they? We will try to understand. Okay. So the word Pasmanda is derived from the Persian language, means left behind. So left behind is something जो पीछे छूट गया है. Okay. So Persian language में इसका मतलब होता है left behind. The Pasmanda community comprise of Dalits and backward Muslims who are fighting a different social battle inside the community society. So this is basically comprised of Dalits and backward Muslims who are fighting to have a better, social order, because they are actually having a lower position in this society. So this community has its stronghold in Uttar Pradesh, where the Pasmandas account for around 75% of the total Muslim population. Okay, so ये जो है सबसे ज्यादा यूपी में, उत्तर प्रदेश में है, और यहाँ पे 75% है लगभग जो टोटल मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन है उसके. In fact, 85% of the total population of Muslims in the country is known as Pasmanda. So पूरी कंट्री में जितनी मुस्लिम पॉपुलेशन है उसमें से जो 85% पॉपुलेशन है लगभग वो पसमंदास की भी है. It is believed that the so-called untouchable Hindu converts are categorized as Pasmanda. So it is also believed that the untouchable Hindus were actually converted and become Pasmandas. Now we will try to understand this is as a caste system in minority. So the caste system is applicable to Asian Muslim in the same way as it is applicable to Indian society. So जैसे कि Indian society में देखा गया, there is a hierarchy, there is caste system. Similarly, in Asian Muslim, there is a caste system. Now, among the South Asian Muslim, including those living in India, 50% are considered upper class and upper caste called Ashraf. Okay, so जितने भी मुस्लिम रह रहे हैं इन साउथ एशिया में से, स्पेशली अगर इंडिया को भी इंक्लूड कर दे, जो 50% है दे आर कॉल्ड एज अपर क्लास और उनको बोला जाता है अशरफ. द रिमेनिंग 85% मुस्लिम्स नोन एज Azal and Ashraf is degraded. Okay, what has happened that their courts are to be believed, then the creamy section of the Muslim society looked down upon them. They are backward and oppressed economically, socially, and educationally. This oppressed section among Muslim is called Pasmanda in India. This we have seen. A social movement in nature. So actually, the Pasmanda movement in India is 100 years old. A Muslim Pasmanda movement has emerged in second decade of the last century. So लगभग 100 साल पहले ये जो movement है ये start हुआ था so that they can have their upliftment. After this, in 90s in India, two big organizations were formed in favor of the Pasmanda Muslims. So 90s के बाद इंडिया में actually दो बड़े organizations आए थे. And वो थे, this was All India United Muslim Front, जिनके लीडर थे इजाज अली, and Ali Anwar of Patna founded an organization named All India Pasmanda Muslim Miraj. ठीक है, तो ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से जो बनाए गए थे इस मूवमेंट के तहत. However, both are termed as non-Islamic by Muslim religious leaders. ठीक है, सो दोनों ही ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को नॉन इस्लामिक बोला गया था जो मुस्लिम रिलीजियस लीडर्स हैं उनके द्वारा. All these small organizations of Pasmanda Muslims are mostly founded in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. Okay, so obviously Uttar Pradesh mein, because they have the huge population, so there these small organizations of Pasmanda Muslims are founded Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. Okay, so with this, we have come to an end to this news also. Now there is no big news. Actually, this was relevant, so I just thought to brought it. So Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was in heart failure after apparently being shot during a campaign speech Friday in West Japan. So he was shot, though he has been taken to the rescue very quickly. So yeah, this was the. Okay, so with this, we come to an end to our daily news of today. Now, let me just quickly revise you through the news in a minute, and then we will go to the question. So, first news that we saw was related to Odisha, that Odisha government is trying to have this target of completing the implementation of Forest Rights Act uh, by granting all kinds of rights for these tribal people by 2024. Okay, so in this we saw that what is Forest Rights Act, किन लोगों के लिए होता है, कैसे जो ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज हैं वो हेल्प करती है सस्टेनेबिलिटी एंड इन द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ फॉरेस्ट, हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट दे आर, एंड कैसे उनके लिए डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है लीगल क्लेम करना ऑन देयर लैंड, ऑन देयर फॉरेस्ट. All those things we saw in this particular news. Then the second news that we had was related to derecho, which is a kind of storm which hit US in the and it is of a green color, derecho. And why is it of a green color? We saw this क्योंकि जो आफ्टरनून एंड इवनिंग का टाइम होता है जिस टाइम पे येलोइश, रेडिश एंड ऑरेंजिश होता है स्काई, उसमें जो ब्लू लाइट होती है थंडर की, दैट इंटरैक्ट्स एंड उसकी वजह से ये फॉर्म हो जाता है. देन वी सॉ 3 डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ डेरिचो. ओके, वो हमने देखे, प्रोग्रेसिव, सीरियल एंड हाइब्रिड. उसके बाद हमारी नेक्स्ट न्यूज जो थी, ओके, इसमें डेरिचो में हमने ये भी देखा था कि जो ये कौन से एरियाज है जहाँ पे ज्यादा होता है. ठीक है, मोस्टली यूएस में होता है और भी बहुत जगह, रशिया में, जर्मनी, फिनलैंड और बल्गारिया और पोलैंड में भी ये फील किया गया है. Then we talked about community which is पसमंदा community, जो कि अभी हैदराबाद में पीएम ने बात की थी उनके अपलिफ्टमेंट के लिए. So we talked about this, and we also came to know that they are in high number in Uttar Pradesh. What are the other upper castes in Muslim that we also saw, and what was the movement that started in like 100 years back, wo humne also we saw. What were the organizations related to that also we saw. Then we came to know this very important news that recently the former Prime Minister of Japan, he was shot. Okay, and now we come to an end to our newses. Now we have this very important few questions which are very important from today's perspective. Now we will read and try to answer this particular question. Which city is the host of 2022 Global Biodiversity Conclave? Okay, so the option 1 is Paris, Bonn, Geneva, Davos. So which of these cities is actually hosting Global Biodiversity Conclave? I hope you people have some idea of it, or maybe you can have simple guess. So the answer B is true, that is Bonn. Now let's just try and read the explanation part so that we can also extract some other important things. The 2022 Global Biodiversity Conclave is organized in Bonn, Germany. Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services announced that assessment of the sustainable use of wild species will be released. So यहाँ पे इस सेंटेंस इस पैराग्राफ में इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें क्या थी? नंबर वन, एक तो कंट्री भी पूछी जा चुकी है, जा सकती है, अभी तो सिटी पूछी है, बट कंट्री इट इज इन जर्मनी. नाउ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का नाम इंटरगवर्नमेंटल साइंस पॉलिसी प्लेटफॉर्म ऑन बायोडाइवर्सिटी एंड इकोनॉमिक इकोसिस्टम सर्विसेज. Then next is sustainable use of wild species, keeping in mind the well-being of community that depends on them for livelihood will be focus on the report to be released. What will be the focus of the report? So that is also we have seen and that is important. Okay, so with this we come to an end to our daily discussion of current affairs today. I'll see you soon tomorrow. Till then, keep studying and I hope this helped you in some or the other way. And tomorrow I will come back and bring some very important news. Thank you so much and have a very nice day. Keep studying.